Speakers of Eidolon is made possible by our generous patrons. Special thanks to our supreme and master speakers, Omega Cat Comet, Erisu Yamakawa, Alex Franco AV, Winebow Brood, Aurora White, Psyche, Azuta Starbreeze, Cletus Oreo, Lily Black, Bob Cece, Minkter Rabentau, Anathus Moonscar, Pamela Isley, Elenriel Maximus, Codrith Novelist, Mira, Celestau Notrell, Lazy Boy, Luke Osborne, Pandaloo Storm Arrow, Tex, Kylin, Arthur Law, Beridan Derard, Psypup, Spencer Christmas, Celine DeLune, Edwin, Wibsta Wolf, Severa, Sir Kabarakil, Kazran, Ventos Tia, Ryark Forbear, Late in the House, Tony, Arcadia Lunashine, Framboise Zaccaro, Bergie Fudge, Zephiel, Cafe, Gregorium Cartus, Eros, Wananitsa, Mira Moontail, Tyler Curlyfries, Nat Clay, and Chibi Duo. Get early access to audio and video versions of the show, including the post-show, by supporting us at patreon.com/SpeakersXIV. Thank you. Good evening, Eorzeans. Welcome to Speakers of Eidolon, episode 457. I'm Lakeel Bravestone, and I'm joined today by Georgi Wiston, Mela Vanadar, and not Rollo Des. Hello! We have...
I preferred it when he was black and white and looked dead.
It was giving dead, so I put the DC symbol on it instead. No, Rollo has a power outage, so... Yeah. He can't be here right now.
The Naked Heat really did claim him.
Yes. It is episode 457. It is June the 14th, 2025, and this is Speakers of Eidolon. I don't know.
What?
Sorry, it just felt like the natural end to that.
It's so true.
Today, we're going to talk about 14th housing system.
Hooray!
It is a topic that has been discussed a lot just over the past couple of months, really.
More like a homeless system.
And it is more relevant now that we are about to we're about to experience a live letter next week. Many people are hoping for updates to housing. We'll talk about that. We'll be also reading your MogMail. Thanks for sending in MogMail, speakersxv.com/MogMail. Yes?
Ideally, every complaint we have today will be irrelevant next week.
Yes.
Wow. They'll hope. The goal is that they'll make this episode redundant.
That is what
that's true.
And because
that's true. But if you go into a live letter with Naoki Yoshida and expect that, well,
Mela,
you're in for a shock.
Yoshi always delivers.
He's a yapper. He's the yappinator.
No.
He's not.
We'll
fix it though. We'll give him all the right ideas.
Yeah, Yoshi P is watching. He's one of our biggest fans and has always watched. He's watched every episode twice. Speaker. He's currently on his third round watching Speakers of Eidolon from the first episode up until so he's he's really so.
That's a true fan.
He's still keeping up with the live episodes though. So shout out to Yoshi P. You have to better watch because we have lots of tips for you today. Stay tuned for the post show. We'll be answering questions from the syndicate, and if there is time for it, Pokemon Shinies. So far, that segment is not doing so well.
Yeah, but
it's going very slowly.
Talk about whatever he talks about. So
what?
Maybe you won't get distracted. Yogi will just sip a drink.
That's true.
And then I'll go straight into it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. That's
distracted with board games, whatever it was last week.
I don't. There's always something throwing us off.
The week before.
Make sure you catch the post show if you're watching live. Now it's time for recent events. Yes, recent events. We start with something that should have been pretty trivial, but. And nothing is nowadays. Final Fantasy XIV is now on Bluesky.
Hooray! They're Bluesky boys.
They are. This post was posted on the Lodestone. We're pleased to announce that Final Fantasy XIV is trying out Bluesky. Follow us here to.
That's such a stupid word.
We're trying it out.
We're giving it a go. If it's not great, we'll leave.
Yeah. Follow us here to receive the latest information on Final Fantasy XIV from the official English account, or follow our official regional accounts for updates in Japanese, French, or German. So all the accounts are on Bluesky. We will continue publishing content on our other official channels, so be sure to follow us on your platforms of choice for the latest updates and memes.
I'm a fan of whoever's in charge of the 14 Bluesky. I think is funnier than the other 14 people. Like their first tweet was the Warrior of Light, like
the stare, the like
fear
Willem
face,
Dafoe.
like the stare. Yeah.
Well, that's on Twitter as well.
Yeah. I think it's the same. I think they just use an app.
It's probably the same person, but
Yes.
I like them. It was funny to see, and they've got a little tortoise saying, "How many coins would you give this little fella?"
Yeah.
It's great.
They're
They're insane.
So you can follow them on Bluesky now. Now, that's where that should have ended. You know, normal, fine, move on. But when this was posted on the subreddit, it was locked. It had to be locked. Now, I am so, like, I don't even understand what's going on, really, but like the comments on the thread were apparently so bad that they had to lock the thread.
Madness.
I don't think we need to really say anything else because it's so stupid, but like there you go. That's what's happening. I don't even know if I can't even explain why they're Georgi?
People love Twitter.
People love Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, people love X.
Yeah. People love X.
Madness.
Anyway.
People liked Twitter.
Yes, people actually liked Twitter. That's why I don't really like calling it Twitter anymore, because it is X.
It's no longer.
Yeah. Twitter, I don't want to taint the memory of Twitter when it was good. It has now become X. So there you go. We all know what X. We all know what a nightmare hole that platform has become. So I guess whatever. Anyways, they're on Bluesky.
Welcome to Bluesky.
Oh, right. I didn't put that in the notes, but yeah. Okay, so we'll just mention this. The second cookbook. There's a second cookbook now, available for pre-order.
Which we knew about last week.
But he didn't put it in the show notes, and now we look like we're Johnny-come-latelys.
Yeah.
We were hot off the press. This wasn't even on the lodestone.
No, it's still not on the lodestone.
So triggered by the fact that people were talking about this and we hadn't reported on it. It's so funny.
Well, we could have reported on something new.
Over a fucking
we could have been ahead of the schedule.
It's a fucking cookbook.
Instead of getting off the lodestone, we got it off the
store
page. Store, which is real journalism.
God. Real journalism. Yes. Anyways, the second cookbook is available for pre-order on the official store.
It looks relatively Dawn Trail themed by the cover and the tacos.
Well,
yeah,
it should have things from a few expansions.
The shop page highlights recipes from Shadowbringers, Endwalker, and Dawn Trail. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Très magnifique.
It is quite cheap. So I think it's like, what is it, 25 euros?
Oh, they're only like, it's expensive. Actually, no, it's not even expensive.
Nowadays, that's not very expensive.
No, I don't think that's expensive for a cookbook.
You can buy, there's
How much is Paula Dean's? So,
I think, to be honest, probably one of the cheaper ones at this point.
I think that's in the bargain bin nowadays. I can't believe I'm actually checking this, but on her website...
It's good.
On her website, buy it now. Okay, we're live. We're live at Paula Dean's...
We're buying...
402, access denied. You are not an authorized person to access this site.
No,
oh my God.
You're not American enough.
Americans only for Paula Dean. Anyway,
this is getting weekday stream adjacent.
Yeah, that's all
sorry. Sorry, I got Amazon. I can confirm Paula Dean's at the Southern Table with Paula Dean is $42.
There you go. So quite expensive.
Yeah, so around the same price.
Similar price. So.
I would say
and you'd have to go to
more expensive,
yeah. 14
you'd have to go to the National Archives for
cheaper.
a Julia Child one. So
that's true.
Well, Julia Child's first cookbook is quite
printed on Bible
extensive.
paper.
Yeah, that's a classic cookbook.
That's a national treasure.
You can buy that. That's what's it called? The French Kitchen? Is that?
Yeah.
The French Chef.
I thought it was like a guide to French cooking. Okay.
Whatever it was.
The French Chef with Julia Child. No, wait.
Okay.
What are we doing?
Don't worry about it.
No.
Buy the second cookbook. It's not that expensive.
Sorry, The French Chef, that was her TV show.
Great TV show.
Yeah.
If you want to join us on Patreon.
Georgi is the most right. It's called Mastering the Art of French Cooking. There it is.
Okay.
Whew, glad we got that out of the way. Anyways, nothing to do with Julia Child. The Final Fantasy XIV cookbook out now for pre-order. Okay. Inspired by Julia Child. Far removed.
But she kind of brought.
She inspired most modern cooking
exactly,
cookbooks today. Yeah.
A bit of the Julia's in there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julia.
A little bit of Julia sprinkled in every dish.
I just read the subtitle for the cookbook: "The Culinarian's Journey from Shadow to Shore."
Oh yeah.
What a description.
Yeah.
Means something to us, means nothing to an onlooker.
No. Now, I'm not one to say that. I've always said that Square Enix is curious when it comes to their timing of certain things. So, when I saw this, I thought, I'm
glad that you thought the same thing I did.
Yeah. Sign
it's
up.
Nice with the little graffiti and everything as well. Like, yeah. Really giving the right vibes.
Sign up for our downtown LA gathering.
Or don't.
With a suspicious, risky-looking bottle as well. I mean, this is awful.
When I saw this on Twitter first. X. I thought this was a joke, but it is not.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't think that they'd be capable of this because I did.
It might be because when I first saw it, it was a meme picture, and it was downtown LA gathering, and then the background was just like fire, and I thought, this is a joke. We are delighted to announce that we'll be hosting a small gathering in downtown Los Angeles following the conclusion of Anime Expo. Okay. Sign up for a chance to join the North American community.
No, it wasn't just random. It wasn't completely random.
Okay. Okay.
That would have been weird.
Because that would be like a spur of the moment. Like, guys, why didn't we do a fun little gathering?
Perfect time.
God.
Sign up for a chance to join the North American community team for an evening of chill vibes and meet your fellow warriors of light to talk all things FFXIV. Now, it is important to note that this is in July. It is not not right now. Adventurers who are selected to attend can enjoy an evening of fun with their fellow warriors of light and the North American community team. We'll have some fun icebreakers and we'll be hosting a giveaway of fun prizes.
Ooh.
Additionally,
that's all they're breaking.
Additionally, the venue will have both alcoholic and non-alcoholic drink options available for purchase.
I don't know about icebreaker.
Requirements: you live near Los Angeles or will be in the area during the gathering date. You possess an active Final Fantasy.
How do they check that? Do you need to give them your address / your travel plans?
I don't know why it is a requirement.
You have to give them a Google, the Google.
Well, no, but it says you live near Los Angeles or will be in the area during the gathering date.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
it's a weird requirement
need to give them your address or your travel plans.
I don't think
your flight details.
I think this is more casual. The requirement to actually be there will be to be there. You know,
I guess so, yeah.
The requirement for being here means you have to be here, actually. It's not, it's weirdly worded.
You have to physically be there.
Yeah.
You must be there.
You possess an active Final Fantasy XIV service account.
Log in at the end.
They will do a login check, yeah.
You log in, and if your glamor's wrong, you got bad glamour as well.
Yeah.
They'll probably kick you out.
You are at least 21 years old. It says those who do not meet the age requirement will not be permitted into the event. You must have, here you go, a valid photo ID with your name and date of birth to enter the event. State ID, driver's license, passport, etc. Identification will be checked at the door for each attendee and their guests. Those who are unable to provide a valid ID will not be permitted into the event. Only those who have been accepted via the sign-up form will be able to attend. This starts on Sunday, July the 6th. from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Pacific Standard Time.
It is, yes.
You'll have your sort of Independence Day celebration, Recovery Saturday, and then it's straight to the Final Fantasy XIV LA Gathering.
Yes. It's at a venue at LA Live in downtown Los Angeles.
Why do you mean a venue? Why can't they just say LA Live in downtown Los Angeles? What do you mean?
It's
a venue there.
Yeah. Details will be shared with the selected... Oh, it's very secret. The details will be shared with the selected attendees.
I mean, no reason to tell people who aren't going to be there.
That's true.
Well, yeah, you don't.
They'll just be, like, staring in the windows, like...
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
There
was lots of issues around FanFest. So
yeah. To register for a chance to attend, simply follow the link below. Attendees can bring a +1, but their information will need to be included during the initial sign-up. Note that the names of attendees cannot be changed once submitted. There's a link where you can apply.
I got my deed poll on Saturday.
You have to. So this is how they know if you have an active account, because you add this to the information. Your character's name and homeworld, if bringing a guest, their character's name and homeworld, and acceptance of terms and conditions. Anyways.
If you do want to join, you have until June 16th at midnight Pacific time.
A couple of days.
And it will be, if you're catching the VOD, it's already too late. So only for those that are live.
Yeah. Okay, and then once the form closes, they will do a random drawing. So yeah, that's that. There you go. That's for people who want to hang out in the LA area.
Have a great time.
In July. Not right now.
Stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe.
Keep an eye on what's happening then as well.
Yes. For all, I mean, obviously things aren't like going great down there right now, so there is a chance maybe that this isn't happening, but you'll see.
It's free to sign up if you make it, see what it's like on the day.
Yeah.
They're not going to charge you if you don't turn up.
Exactly.
No. Okay. Moving on. We have an announcement regarding cosmic exploration. The end.
Yay!
The end is nigh for most. Well, for servers, we at least know where the end is. Level 20 is the end. Cactuar is, as I understand it, world first.
Yes.
Completed on the 14th of June at 6:19 p.m. I'm assuming local time or my time. I'm not sure. That's level 20. That's the end. So that now you know if you're how far away your server is from completing. We are, like, for our server Ragnarok, we're on 19, but it's gonna take 19. Some time.
I presume the final fate is no more entertaining than the previous 19 of them.
No, I don't. Nah.
But you never know, guys. The only way you'll know is to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are there, you're unlikely. I feel like you're unlikely to fail because they decreased the requirements.
That's true. That was a good move.
On JP, it looks like Tonberry is the next one to...
I mean, Tonberry's the biggest JP server.
That looks the closest currently there.
It's the former, and I guess still currently server that Australians use on the JP servers.
Oh, yeah.
The Tonnies.
Yeah, in Europe, it looks like the next one to the one to reach 20.
A lot of European servers are quite close to each other.
Most of us are on 19, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Except for maybe
like Phantom and Phantom and Raiden and Alpha are low, are like 16 and 17. But the rest are 19 and pretty much close, like almost the same like level of progression, which is interesting. Yeah. So there you go. It's nearing the end, which is good, I guess, because now you can focus on Occult Crescent. So congratulations to Cactuar, world first. I just looked at Oceania, 16, all of them.
Yeah,
that's good though.
Which is pretty good for such
a small data center.
Yeah.
No, I don't think anyone. I think all of them will be done by the end of July.
Yeah.
June, sorry.
Yeah,
by the end of June.
Yeah.
Keep it up, guys.
They'll definitely be done by the end of July.
Yes.
I hope so.
Okay. That's what we have for recent events. Now we have some MogMail that we can go through. So let's. Thank you for sending in. Let's jump into MogMail. Whoa. This is from Cheshire Soltiri from Zalera. I wanted to air my grievances with Occult Crescent and why I personally think it misses the mark. The main difference I found a bit off-putting was the distinct lack of dynamic tension or feeling of immersion that both Bosnia and Eureka featured. This dynamism not only made the prior zones feel alive and immersive, but also distract from the feeling of monotony and repetition. So let's dissect this dynamism. In Eureka, the zone, at least Animos, was dangerous and filled with whipping wind, small dust devils, and a feeling of movement and immersion. Not only that, but the way the zone felt fresh, unexplored, dangerous, and unwieldy gave the place life. It felt like stepping outside of the hurricane's eye into the storm, and that was fun. In Bosnia, the dynamic nature of ships flying overhead, bombs falling around you, barriers shimmering under artillery bombardment as you march your way into the front lines really helped give a feeling of momentum, immediacy, and purpose. The music and the tension, along with the difficult monsters and threat of leveling down, made the zone feel treacherous. Using lost actions and decoctions helped the gameplay feel like you needed every last helping hand, hoping players would come to your aid if you dropped on the front lines. It felt communal, and that each Warrior of Light was a cog in a bigger wheel, a cohesive unit. On the other hand, we have Occult Crescent. I was very excited for this zone. With occult in the title, I was envisioning ghosts, dark magic, tarot, illusions, cryptic and haunted places, but instead of that, a flat, sunny and uninteresting set of ruins. Hold on. This zone was meant to be inspired by the Bermuda Triangle, a place of ghost ships, wormholes, and UFOs. What we got was a librarian and a bunch of history lessons. Way to make the War of the Magi so boring. Where is the mystery, the dynamism, the adventure? Running from CE to Fate to CE is just so monotonous. Besides the quick succession of encounters, the whole zone feels so uninspired and stagnant. This isn't even mentioning the actual issues like the melting fates and whatever the fuck the carrots are supposed to be. Thoughts? Thanks, speakers. Are we still doing the bold thing? Well, Rollo isn't here, but...
I mean, Rollo's not here, but also you didn't give us the answer.
You didn't,
so
you didn't provide... I don't know how to interpret that.
No. Yeah, I thought you couldn't rank down in Bosnia.
No, you couldn't.
I don't remember. But a lot of people say you can't, so I'm going to...
I thought you could lose experience, but you couldn't actually drop a level.
Yeah, you lost XP, but leveling down was removed. Right? Or are we twisted our minds on this one?
I'm only going with what we were told in what chat says. And they've said this multiple times.
You lose medal, but do you level down?
Yeah, so that's the... Yeah, I didn't think you could
level, or do you just get to 0
Do you get the horrible sound and like the level downs?
You
lose medal and can rank down. Oh.
Some people are saying it's not a thing though.
What are we
getting a lot of conflicting information?
So we're not sure on this one. Clearly people haven't played for a long time.
Bosnia, you can't lose
rank. And I think that's also
rank.
a thing.
Okay.
I think that's a thing that's clearly an issue in this MogMail as well. When Eureka first came out, it was new and fresh and exciting, and so there is a lot of nostalgia. Even I have nostalgia for Animos in a way that hasn't been met since. But I don't agree with the Bosnian Southern Front feeling the same as Eureka did. It was very streamlined, quick, easy, no danger, really. And I think this is in a similar vein.
I mean,
there is danger here.
There is danger.
You know where it is.
Yes.
And you knew where it was in Animos and the rest of Eureka. Once you'd figured it out, once you knew you had to slow down for the sleeping dragons, once you knew not to go to this region or whatever, or to stick with the party in this bit, it's exactly the same as it is now. I think you've probably just because you're used to the field operation system. Now that it's on our third one, you've kind of rushed it and understood it quicker than the other ones.
I'd also say, at least compared to Animos, which is mostly what this MogMail is talking about, there's very little reason to go to somewhere more dangerous than you can handle in Animos, unlike the Occult Crescent.
That's true. There wasn't a need to explore in Animos, particularly. It was fun to, but there wasn't a need to outside of the MSQ.
You had to go to certain places to unlock the Aetherites, and there were, and the NMs were always in like really like difficult to get like places. Like remember, the first Pazuzu was like up at a was like in like I'm thinking about Luigi. Luigi was in like a cave.
Luigi was in a cave. Yeah. You had to drop down.
But I'd also argue you wouldn't need to go them until you're capped.
Yeah,
no, that's true. 20. That is true. There was,
and a lot of the stuff with Eureka, the train told you where to go, so you were going there and then you killed the monsters.
Yeah,
and
that is true.
Chad is also correct. The Aetherites in Eureka were level locked, so there's no real reason to go to them until you can get to a certain level anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas everything here is open. So, if anything, I prefer the openness of this tier of field operations.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bozja doesn't feel treacherous because you're locked from 2/3 of it until you've done the story and leveling anyway. So
Bozja is very linear.
You're handheld through it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only one that you both have a reason to explore the full map and are able to do so immediately.
I agree, and I don't agree with most of this. I have to say that I have noticed that the weather is kind of boring on the Occult.
The weather is boring. I do agree with that. Why wouldn't there be storms in this shipwreck island?
We're an island in the middle of like...
It's sunny and it's the special weather. So
I got the impression that...
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a second. Go on.
I was going to say, I got the impression that this island is magically protected from like the weather around it.
Yeah.
That's possible, which is not great. I mean, which kind of just... They've made that up just to not add any special weather. But the special weather for the Fork Tower, now that I've actually seen it twice, that's not a good system. Can now confirm terrible. It is up for like 5 minutes.
It's up for too short a time.
And it spawns when CEs are spawning. Like a CE might be up and people are already in the CE, and then the weather changes. And the weather effect, by the way, is not announced, I think, like on screen. So unless you're, and it's not that visible. Like you have to.
Really, I think it's quite visible. I think
when
it's always
you're
really apparent
standing in the blue circle in a CE and you're just waiting, you have to look up in the sky to see it.
I mean, I normally have my camera zoomed out far enough that I can normally see at least part of the sky.
Not everyone does that, though. If you're standing in like the big if you're inside...
I mean, if you're indoors...
If you're indoors, you're not going to see it.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
There's no announcement anywhere that when I saw it the first time, Mela had to tell me that the weather effect was happening because I couldn't see it. That we saw that live on stream. I was just like,
I agree with Chat. I agree with Chat that I think it does tint the world.
Yeah, it does tint the world.
Once you know it, I mean, it's still the issue's not really the visibility; it's the length of time.
It's the length of time, but I also think it should announce that the weather has changed, because it's
have a little icon in the UI because it tells
there is an icon in the UI. It's the weather symbol.
No, I mean
this
on the
little symbol in the top right changes. Yes, I am always acutely aware of what weather it is.
I am.
Yeah, but like I've said before, that's okay. That's okay. So
it does have a message that says the skies turn an ominous red,
but it's in the chat.
It must not be noticeable about.
It's in the chat, I think. Right?
Oh, it doesn't. Well, why did you lie to me?
Chat.
What?
Never look at chat.
Oh,
they're all liars.
I think there's something in chat though. Or is it not?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Don't read chat, Georgi. We're being gaslit by our viewers.
That's so true today.
They're insane today.
They don't know what they're on about.
regardless, that's not the point. Whether or not you understand that the weather has changed is not the point. The point is that even if you know it has changed and you're in the middle of a CE, you know you're not going to make it. Because
I think the thing is, though, now we're like a few weeks in, we all know that most players, when they have the choice between continuing their leveling versus trying to get into Fort Tower, they'll just do the leveling. No one actually wants to go into Fort Tower as an
that was the
now,
other.
I think.
That was the other surprising thing. When it was up, we were the only ones there, our party.
Yeah.
And not even all in our party.
I wanted you to see it more than anything for the brief second you would. But the thing is, why no one's going to bother? And it's not a big penalty, so you might as well try. But no, it's just too disorganized. It's like we were saying in the review or whatever. It's a Discord thing now. It's a community thing.
That is such
if you're not part of that, then you're not going in.
It's such... Even on... maybe I'm misremembering, because my memory is faulty, but in Hydatos, when Baldesion Arsenal was open, I feel like the window of joining was much longer, but I might be wrong. Was it really just 5 minutes? Because that's literally how long it's open on Occult Crescent. It's open for 5 minutes, or maybe less, or 6 minutes. Okay, 6 minutes exactly.
So that's still a short time.
Yeah,
and bear in mind
I think
what's the player cap on? It's 48 for Fort Tower, isn't it?
Yes, but there's an important thing I have to add.
It was like 56.
I have to say that this is
72 for Occult Crescent.
If Baldesion Arsenal was open the same amount of time, different, because players chose to open that portal themselves by doing OVNI, sorry, and you knew then that you were going in. This one spawns at random with no prerequisite. Like, there's nothing that's triggering this. It just happens. So you can't really...
I thought it was on a schedule, but I guess you can consider that random.
Is it on an actual schedule so you can track it?
I think
it was like every 2 hours or so.
Oh,
but
okay.
I could be misremembering.
Okay. I know nothing about
read
this.
Something that was untrue. I've read plenty of things that were untrue today, in fact.
There is a weather person in the instance, I'm pretty sure, right?
That's true.
Yes, there is.
So maybe they can tell us, there's mysterious weather in an hour, I guess.
Who talks to the sky tracker?
Yeah.
No.
Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy?
I guess you have to figure this one out. It's just odd.
I don't do that when I'm fishing.
Yeah. It's the only time it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. In terms of the MogMail, again, back to the idea that Occult Crescent's in somehow easier and worse than the other two. I don't see it. I think it's just. I think it's part of a wider problem with people's perspective of Dawn Trail and the game in its current state. Fatigue from playing this game for a decade. There's a lot of things that go into this.
Yeah.
I would also say I think we understand how field exploration zones work now better than we did back then.
Yes.
It's like when we get the deep dungeon in the next patch. This will be the 4th deep dungeon.
Yeah.
And if Rollo gets his wish and it remains the same as usual, then we'll know what to do. We'll go in and we'll immediately know what to do. I'm sure there are monsters in there that you have to learn, and someone will make that person who makes the really good guides, they'll make another one, and then we'll have it to follow. And then you're going to say, oh, this is the shittest deep dungeon so far.
Okay.
When, Eureka, whatever it was called, was quite good.
I will agree that maybe there's one point that they make here about Bosnia where it felt like there was a lot happening around you, like the set, with the planes, the bombs.
That's true.
Remember there were like just bombs being dropped onto the field at random, like
That's true. I mean, that was cool.
Yeah,
that was the coolest.
This is very static in that sense. Like, there's nothing. You can stand still in the world essentially, and nothing will happen around you.
But I feel that way about Eureka personally as well.
Yes, I agree.
Unless you're going to a dangerous area.
Yeah,
it's the same.
But that's where my argument is that Eureka then made up for that kind of with its weather system, where like sometimes it would have like crazy weather.
That was exciting. I miss kind of weather-based mobs and stuff spawning. Like, there's time-based mobs.
We have time-based ones, night.
Yeah, there are night-based mobs.
Yeah.
I like anything for that kind of system is cool. And I think there's only 1 or 2 critical engagements that have actual triggers, and then the rest is randomized.
Yes.
And I maybe did enjoy, killing the sun bears over and over again, or like the mass killing to summon fates in Eureka. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And having the training organizing, that was kind of cool. But this is fine.
It's fine.
I don't get the opinions on it. I'm sorry to not understand you.
Branding wise, because this is also an issue for the MogMailer, that this is not what they expected from something called Occult Crescent. I think that's either just an issue with how you perceived the name, or because I do think they set up pretty clearly what this was going to be beforehand. But if you're not someone that regularly watches like live letters and stuff, maybe I can understand that being disappointing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would love a super high fantasy spooky occult magic place too, but this is real lore from the part of the game that actually has really very detailed history that they can expand on.
Yeah.
So
well, I agree. I take offense at the mention of that you said that you called them uninteresting, or what was it? The ruins were uninteresting.
Set of ruins.
Yeah. These are a very interesting set of ruins.
Actually the opposite. Very interesting, actually.
Very interesting set.
I will say that the lore that we get is very like incomplete. Like I want more, and I beg and hope that the next patch will actually, like the Phantom Job patch, comes with more. I honestly found
the story too little overall, if I have to be honest.
Yes,
it really did need more depth on the actual history of this place and the lore. I don't, there was maybe a little bit too much of just a very quick sentence on what was an actually revolutionary knowledge of this new civilization.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anything is going to feel significantly lesser than Bosnia, because I feel like Bosnia had a very had a writer that had a very clear sense of what they wanted.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Bos's just like
I do think it's comparable to the amount of lore we got out of Eureka Animals.
Yes.
I think it's maybe a very slight bit more.
I think it's better than Animals, but I think it's comparable.
I think it's comparable. Yeah.
Bosnia had a good amount of lore. It did have a good dynamic there. It was cool. It was ugly. And it, like I say, it did hold your hand, and it
was sinfully ugly.
Yeah.
it just didn't have that danger element to it at all compared to how Eureka was. And I'm not saying this one does either. This one doesn't have danger anymore. Once you max level, you'll...
I think it still has danger. I think people regularly die in those caves trying to chase after pots.
That's true. Maybe. The pots will kill people.
The ziggurat in the corner is dangerous if you're not careful. And a few of the bits have high level mobs, and you get one shot by them.
Yeah. Do you miss like random threats, like maybe like in a region where there's like level 10 mobs, there is actually a level 28 dragon?
I like that. Yeah, that's a real MMO element that I like in.
Yeah,
we very rarely get, and we don't get it in 14 anymore. We kind of just have the hunt marks.
Yeah,
the only real danger overworld wise.
But we have to.
I think that's a cool mechanic.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Keeps you on your toes, but maybe people find that annoying as well.
But you remember that how much we hated that they did that in Eureka. Especially with the sleeping dragon, that was placed.
Sleeping dragons were just annoying.
Yeah,
they were annoying,
and they were in like random areas. Well, they one-shot you essentially if you weren't high enough level.
One-shot you.
You could kill them.
I think also
people farmed them in the end.
Yeah.
People did farm them, but I also think they put some in particularly cruel locations, like just outside of the forge.
Yep.
After dropping down from a cliff.
Yep.
Yeah, that was kind of funny though. Great place to get the achievement for Resident
Evil. I like the idea of having to jump down cliffs as part of like zone exploration. I don't want the punishment to be so harsh. For exploring.
We kind of touched on this last week, but I do miss those kinds of aggro triggers, because we said that last week. Is like there
agree.
aren't many. The variation, there's not a lot of them. There's sight and blood.
It's
there's blood
magic
and magic. That's it.
Which is quite unique.
Yeah, well, actually, maybe blood. I don't know if we have confirmed that there's blood aggro, actually, because when we got pulled, that was because we were using magic. So there might just be those two, magic and sound and sight. I don't know if it is sound, because we can walk behind most mobs.
You run behind them. I think it's just sight. There's so much sound. I don't think I've ever been aggroed by sound.
The cave ones are sound. Place. Okay. But in
honest,
Eureka...
I've very rarely been aggroed. Are the Dullahans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are the Dullahans. I see. Okay, well, there you go.
That makes sense.
In Eureka, it was all over the place, and you had to know which ones had which aggro.
Yes.
Yeah, I felt like Eureka really rewarded actually knowing the content and the zone and the areas.
Yeah.
I feel like the other two haven't done that.
No.
I mean, I know half of the spawn points for chests, I guess, and that rewards you because then you can go and find them quickly.
Yeah.
But in terms of other stuff, there's not much that needs farming. Maybe people miss the concept of getting rare loot from the really hard enemies, like the shiver emotes and stuff.
Yeah.
Everything's just chucked into chests.
That's true. The reward system is very you don't really have to do anything to get the items. You can get them in any chest.
Is there anything rare from this place?
No.
Emote. That's the emote. And there's one emote.
Which emote?
Like the spinning around.
Oh, the twirling one. But you get
twirl,
that from chests as well, don't you?
That's true. Yeah.
Everything can be found from chests. There's no specific mob you have to hunt down to get an item. Remember Cassie's earrings from Eureka?
Or
from
Cassie's earrings are in the chests now.
Yeah.
Are they?
Rarely.
Okay.
They're in the loot box 2.0, 3.0.
The problem is with the critical engagement rewards.
Copycat bulb then.
The issue with the critical engagement rewards is outside of stuff that is specifically relevant to Occult Crescent. There's no reason to keep doing it once you've capped or you're not leveling, or you've already got the field notes and the atmas and the job crystals.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's what Eureka did with. That's why things like Cassie's earrings existed, because then when you were done with everything else, that's when you started farming the NMs, which we don't have. There's no NM in this. There's no NM system in that sense here.
It's just the critical.
There's no rare. You could argue that the ones that you have to kill mobs to trigger are the rare ones, quote unquote. But
I don't know.
Not really.
I would be very up for, additional non-fate, non-critical engagement, just ultra hard random S-rank mobs here and there. That would really add to it.
You yearn for the era of Smock.
Oh, Smock.
Creamy tail.
Yes.
I liked those. That was a cool part of Bosnia. I did
Star
like
tier enemies.
Yes.
I like the enemy rankings with the start. That was cool. There's definitely stuff they could take from the other ones to add to this, and maybe they will for the second part. Probably not.
Well, actually,
I think they'll change it up.
I think so too.
I think Zadnor had things that Bosnia Southern Front didn't have. True. I think they like to increase it a little bit.
Yeah,
and do something. I don't know if they'll system change to have S rank mobs.
Well, they've had. It's been a while since Bosnia, believe it or not. So I think a lot of people may not have, like I've said before, may not have done Bosnia. And they might have this in mind when they introduce this, so that the first part isn't as overwhelming.
That's
dangerous.
Yeah, and then when we get to the second part, maybe there's more to it. We'll see.
I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm looking forward to the next one. Anyway, I feel like there's more to do in this, like you say, to leveling up your phantom jobs and stuff. Yeah. And it's a nice, clear goal rather than farming for lost action.
That's true.
Because you had to get the crystals and then you had to scry them. I can't remember what you did with them. And then
something like that.
Yeah.
That was fun enough to as a loot box, but whatever.
Yeah.
This is a good system. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Cheshire,
It's also
Saltiri.
appreciated though. It's
Yes.
I mean, this is a criticism that's
This is very common.
uncommon.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a.
We
It's
see
not
this
rare.
a lot.
It's just not one. It's just not one that we necessarily agree with. But it doesn't mean your opinion is any lesser because of that.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. It's time to talk about housing. Let's jump into the great discussion. All right, let's talk about Final Fantasy XIV's housing system.
That's the people in my house.
A big... Oh, yeah?
I like these notes. I like how we've got a section about good things about 14's housing system, and there's nothing.
You'll know. Hopefully you'll have opinions. Also, don't reveal our notes. What the hell? You're already spoiling what we're going to talk about. So the reason why
there is a wizard.
The reason why we're talking about the 14 housing system is because World of Warcraft is getting a new housing system, and that has obviously caused some. It sparked some discussion in the 14 community because it looks like the World of now. The reason why we're bringing up World of Warcraft is because it is 14's main competitor. If this had been any other game...
Additionally...
Well, no, I will mention that the other games are not on our radar. Like ESO has housing system, and we don't really talk about ESO at all because, let's be real, not really that big of a competitor for 14. But World of Warcraft is the main competitor. So when...
Well, there's also the other MMOs that have housing, have mostly instance-based housing or similar.
Yes.
WoW's one is a true neighborhood system like our game.
Yes. I just want to make it clear.
It's a direct comparison.
Why we're bringing up World of Warcraft is because you have to understand this is the main competitor, okay? Put your pitchforks down.
No. It's because we're becoming speakers of Azeroth.
I have no desire to play World of Warcraft. But the housing system...
Good game.
Sure. The housing system that they have been showing off, which has not been released yet. This is also a big asterisk on this. This is all just
plenty of time to disappoint.
Yes.
That's true.
Even... surpass expectations.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have some information. So what's most shocking? So remember now that World of Warcraft is older than 14 by quite a bit. 10. They have 10 years on 14 almost.
2004 it came out.
Yeah. It has like 9 years on Realm Reborn. The system, as they've shown it, has... They've made a new system, essentially. They've made it clear that this isn't just like dev tools that they've just made available so that you can place things. This has, when you place furniture in a house, which has, by the way, a leveling system. It has a progression system. You can unlock rooms in your house. When you place items, it shows you like when you use a 3D program, the arrows, the blue, the red, and the yellow, like the circle and all that. That's the level of freedom you have when placing furniture. You can shrink and grow, like you can grow them. You can you can scale the items as well.
Decrease or increase the size.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a limit on that. But it's a big limit.
It's a limit. It's the lowest limit.
There's a limit.
It's 20% minimum for like the lowest. I don't remember what the large one is.
I think it's like 200%.
Yeah. The item limit currently for a house in World of Warcraft is 10,000. Now I want you to think about that number for a second. 10,000. And then go back to your house in 14 and check what your current item limit is. And this is a game, again, released in 2004.
Slowly upgraded and loved by a competent development team, and programmed in a way that, I mean, there's jank nowadays in WoW. There's a lot of jank. There are real issues in the game, but they do sort their spaghetti. They take the time to sort their spaghetti out.
Yeah, let's not forget that they, for a long time, were the opposite. Had the reputation of not caring at all, and that was but 2 years ago. So let's not glaze them up too much just because they made made something good this time.
They do have the benefit of continuity in development team. I don't know how many people are still there from when they were back in the day, but there wasn't this horrible break in its existence that caused a shift in who was working on it.
They also have the neighborhood system, just like 14, and that's like Mela said. This is what makes this so relevant to 14, because this is not like most MMOs where you have just a zone, you click a thing, and then you're in your own instanced world. This is a neighborhood system, just like 14's. So they have...
Isn't it quite expansive as well?
50 to 55 houses.
50, yeah.
Is what the number is.
Besides size of the neighborhood, I was talking about like the ability for them to create new neighborhoods.
So they claim at this point. Anytime a neighborhood is filled, it will generate a new one.
I don't believe it's infinitely... Yes, there has to be a cap. I mean, it might be irrelevant in the sense that there might not be that many people
that are making houses. They have not released a cap number for neighborhoods.
There should be the ability for you to buy a house at any point.
I think if they're not announcing a cap, it should not be an issue. Because if there is a cap and they do fill out, I think that's a bigger problem for them.
Yeah.
You don't want to end up in a system like 14 where you're constantly having to work to add new neighborhoods every like 6 months.
I don't think that's as much of an issue right now. In terms
it's less of an issue now.
If you want a house, I think, I mean, maybe except for like
some servers, it's rougher.
Balmung, maybe it's not. Maybe it's still an issue, but like I feel like most servers, it's not. If you want a house now, whether or not you'll get a size of house that you want, that's a different issue. You can get a house.
You can probably get a small house.
There's a lot. The one thing that they were very clear about is that they didn't want to make a house that you furnish it, and then you have no reason to go back, which is why they have this rank system or like leveling system for the house where they want to do some stuff.
Evergreen content that you can keep. It's horizontal progression.
So imagine a house in 14. You buy it, and then you can do I don't know how you're progressing in this, but like somehow you're able to progress and earn, like you can build another room, you can expand the house.
And there's no like size limit on that. It doesn't have to be realistic. If you go into a cottage but the inside is a mansion, that's fine.
Which is what we've been talking about for 14 as well.
We would like that in 14.
Yes.
I mean, I think if we get that, the issue of people being able to get houses they want will be less of an issue, because they'll all be able to have a large if they want.
Zero people in 14 would care if their cottage had a mansion inside. No one would care.
No,
it's fine.
No.
So please do that.
It also comes with a garden. They didn't really go. I haven't seen much about the garden stuff, but there is a garden. There is an outside to the house.
I am a little curious as to how significant the items they can have in their outside gardens are, because because of how complex some of 14s are, there's an obvious explanation as to why there's a limit. I mean, they do plan on increasing it, and the limit, you can still make the argument the limit is too low, but I would be curious as to how polygonally complex the WoW garden system is.
Yeah, I mean, considering you can put up to 10,000... When they showed off the big mansion on the inside, they had filled it as much as they could, and they were still only at like 2,000 items. It doesn't seem like there is much of a problem for them to show a lot of items.
The engine can show a lot. If you go into that people constantly moan about how much they detest WoW's art style, but if you go into like the modern cities and like the new expansions, pretty much every individual item is like an individual asset, rather than like a grouped asset. Like
how
bowl of apples.
How visually detailed would you compare a single like housing item in WoW to a single housing item in 14? Like, because I this is not something I'm really familiar with.
For the modern stuff, the interesting thing about their housing system is they're allowing you to put in old shit and new shit, and the old shit will look old, and they don't care that it flashes. Like, if you want your house to look like vanilla, you can or whatever.
Yeah.
But certainly some of the newer assets are reasonably detailed. They're obviously not going to be up to 14.
I would say they kind of look like
models, but...
furniture in Sea of Thieves.
Yeah,
I feel like that's similar to
Sea of Thieves. Yeah, WoW's art style is quite similar to Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
So visually less dense, but still
less polygonally dense, but texturally.
Yeah.
The new stuff
texturally
in WoW is quite
still
nicely
just
textured.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks
like the WoW looks good these days. You may not like the art style, but the texture works quite good.
Yeah.
I mean, the texture work in our game isn't always quite good, so that's fair.
Exactly. Yeah. And shaders and stuff's decent in WoW these days, and lighting, but
because that was just one of the things I was thinking about. Obviously, their furniture count is much higher than ours, so like in a sense, it doesn't really matter. But like, I was just because I know one of the issues with 14 is that like they put so much detail in any single item. The issue is that like something that is super detailed is the equivalent of something that's not.
Yeah,
like an apple is the equivalent of a giant bookcase.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there is actual performance issues with this.
Yes.
If a whole neighborhood of 50 houses has 10,000 cap,
yeah,
how does that actually suffer or not?
I would recommend, if you are interested to see how it looks, to just look up one of the videos that people have made going through this.
Cool.
It's
a nice system.
You might have this idea that World of Warcraft looks like there's less fidelity, and therefore that's why they can have 10,000 items. But when you actually look at the new items, they look pretty sharp and good. So I don't think,
I thought there'd be a benefit to me not looking into it too much because I know that a lot of people in our audience won't have.
Yeah, I'm just saying for those that want to.
Yeah, for those that are curious. Yeah,
it's worth looking at.
But
we have to discuss these things to see where what our game could.
Yeah, this is now.
Yes.
So they've sort of WoW has shown their hand. This is coming. This is our new housing system.
It's all proof of concept as well. Remember,
yes.
Things can change
subject to change.
Midnight, I think, is their next expansion, which I don't like the name of.
Oh,
Midnight.
Okay. Midnight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that's hard to search for.
Yeah, that'll be difficult.
That's when it comes out.
Okay.
I think that's probably at least a year away.
It comes out, releases at midnight. They're naming it after the release time.
Yeah.
I'll definitely, when this comes out for our purposes, I will definitely hop on to
worth noting.
Explore this.
This does not come with a die system for furniture. If we want to pull up, something that 14 has, which they do not have.
No, it does have a die system.
Does it?
Yeah, I thought it did have a die system,
but not all.
Didn't he say that they were?
Well,
he said we were looking into it. I think
some things can be dyed and some can't be dyed yet, but they'll add it over time.
Okay, I see. Okay,
and some things have double dyes, which I don't think any furnishing items in 14.
Oh yeah, shit. We did talk about the dice. I don't know why I remember this faulty memory. Okay, it does have a die. It has a better die system, in fact, than 14.
It has a good die system.
Yeah. Okay, so 14.
One other interesting part about theirs, just to because this is a contentious thing in 14. It's one house per faction per account. So you can have one Horde house and one Alliance house for your whole account. So if you make new characters, they have access to that house and they can't buy a new one. So it kind of alleviates the burden on servers. Like, most people have 114 character.
We also mentioned the that furniture is not. It's stored in collection, or is that what it's called in the game? But it's like a log. Yeah,
it's like they have logs for everything, and you can go and unlock them all, and then you just chuck them in.
Yeah, so it means that if you so how does that work? I unlock.
So they don't want it affecting the economy.
No, so I
don't think so.
You unlock a chair. Do I now have endless amounts of that chair?
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Oh.
I don't know how it would work with final things, because let's say for glamour, you pick it up and then you've got that forever on all characters.
Yeah.
Is that for all characters? Okay, cool. That's nice.
Yeah. I would have to assume so. I don't think they would make you get multiples of an item to put in a log. So I would imagine, you probably do have that option. But maybe there are like item types, and you can have a limit on item types. So maybe they limit it that way. I don't know.
Okay.
Probably not though. It feels very free.
Well, we don't know this part specifically, so I guess we can't really use that.
There's a lot of dev work still to do on this. They haven't. I mean, they've only. This was from a press event last month.
Okay.
Most of this.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, sorry. I just now remembered the die system actually that we saw for the WoW housing system. I believe you could change the text, like the material as well. Or was it just the color on the material? Okay, so it was
like the metal. You could dye the metal part.
Oh, that's what it was. So you could change like the color of the metal, and it would like specify which part you're. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a good system.
Yes. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, okay. Hold on. I'm searching through here. The dye tool will let players change the color on assets that have been rebuilt to support it. An object can have multiple parts with different colors, like wood versus metal parts of a box. Yeah, so there you go.
Okay.
Anyway, so let's talk
like
about
ours.
Yes. 14.
But for clothing only so far right now.
Only clothing. We cannot do the multiple dice on housing items. So 14's housing system has not really fundamentally changed in a very long time. You could argue that the being able to change the interior, like the stairs and stuff.
The very new system.
Very new system. That is probably
With
the
one
best.
example.
That needs expanding quickly.
Yes.
But yeah, that is a change.
That is a big change. I still don't understand the item limit that they've added. That hasn't
internally, no.
No.
Externally, I can accept it. Outside, with this game's engine, you can't have 300 items in 50 blocks.
Especially with the size and complexity of items you can have in your yard.
True.
I could have 50 Berthas. People would hate that, but inside,
Berthas aren't the worst thing you could have thought of. I was thinking of the giant flaming effigy that the Namazu give you.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah,
God. Or the Easter Island heads with the Kupo.
Oh, the Kupo.
On top.
We always had.
Great,
Yeah.
But inside, I think it should be like at least 1,000 items for a mansion. I mean, come on, it's insane.
I do think that I am curious as to why there's such a low limit on the amount of items you can have internally.
Originally, the last time they increased the limit was... Oh, God, when was that? They did increase the limit once, and I wonder if that was directly after the PS... or like close to when the PS3 had ended. It was at least related to that. And I think they struggled a lot with the lighting... when they did that.
True.
Remember there was like flickering issues, and they said like if you place certain items they might phase in and out of existence or whatever.
Remember the fish tank as well, where the water would float or whatever, and they said like you basically can't move water.
Yeah. But
There's some jank.
But there has been a graphical update, the graphics update, and the lighting system has changed. So I wonder if that might have eliminated that issue at least, because the lighting system was apparently a bit of an issue for housing. Now I don't know.
You can now have more than 2 directional lights in your house.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a cap now, or if there still is a cap, or if they've just increased it.
Would be pointless to have a cap at all now, because it should all use the same global lighting system. So so I don't know. Sometimes this game is very mystifying sometimes with how they do things, because sometimes it feels like, oh no, this is the most demanding game ever, because we can only place 300. What is the limit in a mansion? 450? Is that the
I thought it was 400. But
400?
400. It's like 100. Is it? I don't know. It's like 200, 300, 400.
400 is the limit.
It's 400. Yeah, it's 200. Yeah, it's 200, 300, 400 for the house sizes.
Yeah.
For a cottage, it's like just enough maybe to make it look full and lived in.
Yeah.
200.
I would even say with a
medium.
What's this middle? Yeah, with a medium. I think that's enough. I haven't used my cap, and it's pretty full.
If you have if you have well placed furniture, like a big bookcase and some big couches,
I have to agree. I have to say that even at medium, if you really want detail, which they have released
little
so
items,
much like lived-in items,
tabletops,
like little like a pen, the cigar, like little coins. You need
that's
a lot.
An extra 100 all around the house, probably.
And that is so annoying for me. Like our mansion, I want to have those little things, to make it look like people live here.
The mansion needs thousands.
Every seasonal event, I used to decorate the house, and I had to remove half of our furniture to get the other stuff in.
Where did you put the furniture? Because the storage is full.
No, yeah, it used to be full, but then we moved.
Take it out and put it into a retainer.
I put it in storage
all over the place
now, but yeah, sometimes I would have to put them in the retainers.
Be limited like this. The storage is the list of items.
That is the most annoying part, because why the fuck is there a limit on the storage for your furniture?
It's ridiculous.
It's arbitrary. It's like an armoire.
Can't take that much storage space on their servers.
No, but we have to store the information about who made that chair.
I don't care who made the chair.
I don't know. Yeah, it's
when we put things in our glamour dresser, it tells us that we're losing all identifying pieces of information, or whatever.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're going to get rid of the signature.
I thought it used to. I don't think it does. Does it still do that?
If it does or doesn't.
I don't remember.
But it's like, I probably made it, or I don't care. It's probably just from the market board.
Putting the item slots aside, I think another thing that people that really are into housing would appreciate is the rotation tool, and like just being able to freely place things up and down, and like not to have to like wall hack or do the shit that they have to do to
float
get things. Float things.
Why can't I just float a vase up onto a shelf without getting a weird angle?
Why do I have to do all this weird shit?
Yeah. I don't like the.
It's so restricted. Yeah, it is, and it's now that's why this is a good thing. I'm glad that World of Warcraft is getting a housing system like this, because now the pressure is on, because now there's actual real competition on this particular point.
I mean, I agree, but if this turns out to be shit, they will feel so justified.
That is true.
That's true.
That is true. But
if it turns out to be good, they'll probably just set a new goalpost as to why ours is better or whatever.
Yeah,
that's true.
Some people are just very, very strange how they approach flaws in this game.
Yeah.
But it's good to have competition.
That being said, 14's housing system is not bad. I think 14's housing system is
outdated.
Quite good, but yes, it is a housing system from an bygone era. What did you say, Mala?
Like, I remember there was a really
it's
interesting
more than 10 years
about,
old now.
Yeah.
There was an interesting article about like the economic value of things in game, and like how housing in 14 was the most valuable like MMO asset you could own because of how limiting it is.
Oh yeah,
it was
that's
like
true.
millions of pounds worth of it was crazy value.
Yeah,
just it's so
I think it's
limited.
decreased in value overall since, as we've said, outside of the biggest of servers, it's not an issue.
Yeah,
especially you can get a cottage.
Yes, and especially once they add the ability to change the internal size of your house. Can I say, with WoW, I don't know if I like the fact that I have to level up my house to make it bigger internally.
It's just a progression system.
It depends on how it works, but I like the idea that you can buy a house for how many, like maybe there's a fixed price for a house. I don't know how they're going to solve this, but like you pay for a house, it's accessible to everyone, and everyone starts with the same size, and then it's free essentially to like upgrade it. You just have to do some. I don't know what you have to do though. I don't know what the rank up system is. Essentially,
I'm not sure either.
I'm not. This isn't finalized yet.
Though, especially early on.
For all we know, you can maybe from the get-go buy a large house that has all 3 floors at least from the start.
Possible.
We don't know that, but then even then, you can still expand the house if you want to. They
don't want it to be prohibitory in terms of cost. They want new people to be able to jump in as well. So I don't think it's going to be crazy. Crazy cost again. I think they'll probably the biggest market might be with like rare registerable housing item from like old content. If you can farm old content for like a Arthas's Frostmourne. Imagine if you could put Frostmourne in your house, but it's a red drop from Ice Crown Citadel.
Yeah.
And that could be marketable for millions of gold. Things like that.
Yeah.
That'll probably be where the pro will be.
Yes. Another thing that we mentioned the die system. The die system in 14's housing system feels it feels like jank because they've literally just taken, because I hate the fact that you use essentially the same die system, but actually I have a worse thing that I want to say before I get to the die system. Because this reminded me, the fact that you can't look at a housing item from the chat, like there's no way to like preview a housing item.
There needs to be preview, yes. How do I know if the item on the market board actually looks good or not?
Yeah. You have to
on an external website.
But then people will say, no. Yeah, you go to your house. It's very easy. You go to your house and then you open the preview furniture window. Yeah, I know, but sometimes I'm on the fucking market board in Limsa La Minsa, and I don't want to be at my house. I want to see the fucking table.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's something we have the technology.
Just let you, maybe not in those zones.
No.
Like, I suspect, and I mean, this is an excuse, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some heinous spaghetti thing that prevents you from placing whatever you want in the overworld.
Yeah, but you don't have to. We have the preview window for characters. Just replace character, furniture. Yeah. Done.
Exactly.
You make that sound so easy.
I'm sure it actually is. It's just an object that just has to change. Sometimes we are very.
I'd like to think that I'm always of the opinion that people have a much simpler idea of what programming is like for games.
It's very interesting. Just to address chat, I am not talking about when I'm standing in my fucking house. I'm talking about when I'm on the market board and I'm browsing furniture. I want to be able to see the furniture while I'm standing in Limsa La Minsa to see what I want to buy. That's the preview option is great. I love that. Love that when I know what I want, but I want to be able to watch it on the market board.
To be honest with you, I forgot the preview thing even existed. It's not very well advertised when you're in your house.
Yeah, that's true as well. That's true.
But it is a good system, I guess. I'll have to go and use it just to double check.
You just need to. Yeah, exactly, Lakil. You just need to decide. You need to make all your decisions in your house, and then you go to the market board, idiot.
Is it possible with this preview system to like place multiple previews down, or is it one preview item at a time?
One preview at a time. It's the 14
Wouldn't it be nice
way.
to create a blueprint of what you want your house to be like, and then have a list of items you need to go out and make or buy?
Yeah, it's very.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it's so annoying because I'm like, oh, that looks cool there. I wonder what it looks like with this next to it. Click it, disappears.
Yeah, exactly.
So annoying.
Sometimes you need to know these things. If you're making like some little nook, little den,
and let me. I also think we have the technology for that as well, because when you're doing gear preview, you can save the outfit while you're doing try on. For some reason, the housing doesn't have that. So I don't know.
Chad is so right. It's not like when you go to IKEA, you can just drag the furniture around, all the furniture you want to try all at the same time into one little showroom. No, you have to look at them where they are.
Yes,
you can drag them around. They just don't like it.
No.
They won't like it very much. And you might not be allowed to stay much longer.
That's right. There's about 20 IKEAs in this country.
Yeah.
But I agree. I'm just joking.
Yeah, I mean it's a seemingly simple solution, and of course there may be issues in their way.
Yeah,
but if it's, I mean, it feels a lot of the time like Yoshi P is saying too hard, and like I don't know if he actually even. I think he just immediately throws the idea out the window before even actually trying. I usually shut up. Just please don't tell me things.
I can understand why that would be his default reaction as well, because that way, like, he's not over-promising, because that's worse.
Yeah,
probably.
Well, true. Well, yeah, thank you. Yeah, where's our glamour dresser housing item?
But it's so
Yoshi P.
It's
10 years now.
It's such an interesting thing though, because he said a few years ago that they were going to focus more on the like lifestyle content in 14. Wasn't that what he? Something like that. He said like the social part of it, and housing, I would assume, is one of the like major points of that.
No, fellowships.
Oh, I forgot. Yes, sorry. Fellowships, our baby.
Thank you.
So
Island Sanctuary.
Oh yeah, Island Sanctuary.
It's so unsocial. It's the most antisocial.
It really
content.
is unsocial. The fact that you can invite people. I mean, who invites people to their island sanctuaries?
No, that's yeah.
Sometimes I'll sneak to someone's island sanctuary just because I know it's a possibility.
Yeah. No, I don't.
If I see that you're on it, I'll run away because that's also weird to just like appear on your island.
Chat, I know what you mean. No, I'm not talking about when he talked about Island Sanctuary. There was a time back when he said that they were going to focus on like social content in 14 specifically.
Things to do in of an eve without having to jump into a dungeon or whatever. Just things to exist in the world.
Yeah, and so far the housing has not really got much love other than the interior remodeling feature, which let's just also understand that also is still a very janky 14 thing where you have to empty your entire house to do.
What? That's fine.
So, yeah, we've talked about this before, mate.
That's fine. That's fine to compete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So hope your arbitrary item limit in your storage room is cleared.
I know it's stupid, but I'm just imagining how it would work. My guess is that each one is an entirely physically different space that they can't just transfer the location of things.
They refresh your whole instance into a different section of data.
Yeah.
It's not even they refresh your instance. It's they delete the other instance and then there's a whole new instance.
Yeah. God. That's probably what's happening.
Reminding me of the arbitrary.
I agree. That genuinely think that's what the issue is. I don't think they've got comparable like XYZ coordinates, which is what prevents them from doing it, which probably. I sadly think is something they can't solve, unfortunately, because that sounds so complex to
if
force together different like locations and have them share XYZ coordinates.
But does it not preview before you apply the change?
No.
Does it? I don't think so.
It doesn't even do that. Okay.
What if all housing...
I don't know.
What if all housing styles are in the same instance? And they just change the entrance?
Because it's a fucking pain in the ass.
God. No. Okay, well, it's a mess, but it is a good system underneath, and I think...
Can you let me log out in my house again and then log back in?
Yes, please.
I missed that.
No, it's too difficult.
Why was that?
No, I'm sorry. It used to be a thing.
I'm sorry, Gyugi. I'm not going to stand for this one. It's too difficult.
This one I don't understand.
Yeah.
Because it's something they took away from us.
They took that away.
Why?
It's insanity, isn't it?
We had it for a while.
I don't understand. It exists in time and space. If it's a place like Gyugi says it is, where you have to evacuate it before it can be turned into a different place, then it must exist constantly.
Yeah.
Are you saying that when I teleport out of my house while in it, it just ceases to exist? Yeah. No, it doesn't, because other people can be in it.
That's the thing.
No.
Other people could be in it, though.
Yeah.
So,
no, but if once everyone's gone...
It unloads. It's gone.
Deleted from physical space.
And then every time you enter your house, it has to rebuild it again. But it's
yes.
From left to right.
As fucked up as that sounds, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what the game is doing every time.
If they increase the item limit, it'll take even longer to load in.
That's probably why there is an item limit.
So they can't do it. We're up to 8 minutes loading because of our 1,000 item limit.
I could be misremembering this, but is this not an issue that sometimes when a house reloads, things aren't where they were before? Like sometimes they can shift slightly.
Oh my god, you're telling me that someone hand recreates it from Japan every single time?
I don't think they hand recreate it. I think the game's memory is just not precise enough.
This used to be a problem, but I remember they did fix that.
Okay.
That is no longer
They've
happening.
Fixed it. Okay.
At some point, you can just have my house back. It's insanity. There's a creepy ghost in my house moving things around.
Actually, the logging in and out of your house is such a wow, what a luxury back then to be able to
I know.
I sort of forgot, and we had it for a while, and there was never any problem that as a player I experienced. I'm assuming it was too much stress on the servers, but I don't know why that happened. It just
wasn't social because everyone was in their house.
Yeah. It essentially made the house annoying to be in, because once you entered a dungeon, you'd be on the outside, and now you had to go through the loading screen again to get back in and back into your place. Please fix it. Please do anything. Make it better. Because it is good, but it just is so janky now that
that's the
drives me nuts. Yeah, it is. Yeah. But housing seems to be like one of the hardest ones for them to fix, apparently. Like, I don't know.
I mean, Mike, I wonder if they could make a system similar to WoW's, but the issue is that they could not take it straight from point A, which is our current housing system, to point B. Mm-hmm. Like, my fear would be that they'd have to make a completely new housing system, and obviously people wouldn't want to abandon that. That's the problem.
Yeah. I just think there's a lot. Yoshi P, I know you're watching.
I think that
you've heard all our ideas here. Take them to heart, because I think deep down, if you just put some little bit of effort into the housing system, you can actually fix a lot of the stuff that we've just mentioned.
That's true.
A lot of quality of life stuff that could make it much easier.
I mean, you go, Mela.
I think what you were saying, Georgi, is true of a huge amount of content in this game, that there's a lot of things that they could untangle and make actually really good things.
Yeah.
But it would require either the dismantling of it currently, or like just dev time that they don't have. We wouldn't, do take away from future patch or whatever.
Yeah.
That was the issue from 1.0 to 2.0. They couldn't just take the game down while they were working on it. They had to make it relatively compatible so it could continue in its existence at the time. I think that's the issue now. I think people wouldn't accept that something is just gone that they always had in order for them to create a new system. Or they might not even like the fact that there's no improvements to the current system that is something that is always supposed to be evolving. Like if housing was just completely abandoned for like a whole expansion so they can work on a new housing system, I don't know, will people be happy with that?
That's true.
Yeah.
They do like adding in lots of housing items.
But I think
that we
things
can't place anymore.
I think adding things like more housing slots don't require that. Maybe we'll never be able to log out from our house. Maybe that will never be a possibility. Or log back in.
I do think that's something we'll never get back.
Yeah, it's unfortunately. But adding like previews for furnishing, these are like things that shouldn't be that difficult to do. I mean, other MMOs do it, and we have the system to preview characters and gear. Just rework what the systems we have like you always do.
As simple as it sounds to say add more housing slots, I do think this is something that the game has always had an issue with. There's just some sort of memory limit the game has that like it's so difficult for them to adjust. I mean, look at the glamour dresser. The fact that it was so difficult for them to increase it from 200 to 400 to 800, which is where it's at now. Like the time it takes for them to... Where did they find all this space from?
It's like the game's made on a cartridge or something, and like
yes, exactly.
They had to get the Sonic and Knuckles expansion like extra cartridge thing, and then stick Sonic 3 in the top of that.
Yeah,
I think that's how they build their servers.
Well,
insert new servers into the old.
it's just so janky.
Well, the only way to get improvements, just so we can wrap this up, is to push Yoshi P a little on like housing
it's
stuff.
To have competition.
Yeah, is number one competition, which we're now getting, and now
you love housing, and you think that this other game has better housing, and you leave, what's that? What does that say to the dev team?
Yeah.
That they need to work harder on it. And it might not happen to you, and it might not happen to a lot of people, but there will be some people who think, do you know what? This other game, it looks like it has what I want.
It might not necessarily be a thing that they're worried that people are going to jump from 14 to WoW, but that new players might look at like who has the best housing system and decide that WoW has it, and so they lose new players. That's a bigger fear, I think.
I think MMO players are more likely to make the jump. I think Final Fantasy players won't care.
They won't.
Well, that is true.
Yeah, I have no I see the housing system and go, wow, that's a much better housing system. I have no desire to go into WoW. No. So
jumping to a new MMO is a very big.
Yeah.
But competition stuff.
A lot of people did it from WoW to 14 though, back in.
That's true, but they jumped back though. Most of them.
Some didn't, but most did. Yeah, and that's the difficulty with MMOs is there's a huge cost of time that you put into them.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I was going to say is that voicing your desires for the change to housing system when there's a Q&A coming up, which I'm sure will happen at some point. Ask about housing. Also, a live letter is coming up next week, and we are hoping this is part 1, so it might not include it in part 1. Might be a part 2 thing if they're talking about housing.
Really, I feel like it's more likely to be a part 1 thing because they don't. Normally, the part 2 is dedicated to live previews of the actual combat content.
But if there's a new big feature, they use that for part 2. What if there's a new big housing feature
that Yoshi P needs to explain for 45 minutes?
Yeah. So we fingers crossed for some news on housing next week. That's at.
Someone ask Yoshi P exactly how the limit on memory limits work in this game and why they can't be expanded more easily.
And maybe put more pressure on, and by saying, and how can WoW have 10,000? Just to put some fire under his feet.
How can this game that is 9 years older than your game achieve this?
Remember that
hold him accountable.
The live letter is at noon BST, 1 p.m. Central European time. That would be 7 a.m. In Eastern time for the US. We'll be covering it, so make sure you catch that. That is next week, and that is all. That's the show. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. We'll be back next week. We'll be back next week. Same time, same place. Remember to follow on our socials, SpeakersXIV, twitch.tv/SpeakersXIV, No, youtube.com/SpeakersXIV, Discord and chat if you want to join our Discord server. And if you're watching on demand, link is in the description. We'll be going into the live show. The post show. It's all falling apart. If you're watching live, we'll be answering questions from the Syndicate and doing Pokemon Shinies. See you there. Bye.
Bye.